Hi everyone, my name is John and I'm a partner at Meet Ventures, an innovation consultancy firm that specializes in profitable corporate startup partnerships. Throughout my career, I've worked in various innovation firms such as SG Innovate and KPMG Innovate. I've also run more than 15 innovation and startup programs for MNCs, listed companies, and government agencies. According to a report from INSEAD that conducted a study on Forbes Global 500 companies, 68% of the top 100 companies from the Forbes Global 500 are engaging with startups. And the top 100 companies are working with startups 2 times more intensely than the last 100 companies of the Forbes Global 500. So how do corporates and startups increase profits by innovating and partnering together? Today, I'll share with you 5 ways. Firstly, open innovation challenges. This is one of the most basic forms of corporate startup partnership, somewhat similar to a client-vendor relationship. In an open innovation challenge, corporates provide a list of their pain points and startups apply to solve these pain points. If a startup is selected, it will attempt to create a basic solution that can solve that particular pain point. If successful, the startup wins itself a corporate client, whereas the corporate gets a solution that can solve their pain point, improve their operational efficiency, and save costs. So how profitable can this partnership be? I once spoke with the Chief Innovation Officer of a maritime shipping MNC. He told me that if a solution can improve their fuel efficiency usage by their vessels by just a few percentage, it can translate to more than $50 million in annual savings for them. Secondly, tech licensing partnerships. This is an increasingly popular approach to corporate startup partnerships in the tech sector. In a tech licensing partnership, the corporate owns proprietary technology that startups need or want. The corporate licenses out this technology to the startup, who then uses it to improve their product and get more sales. The corporate earns royalties from the sales, and this also becomes a new revenue stream for the corporate. One good example is Ringup, a listed company in Japan that has been licensing out their data warehousing and business intelligence software to startups that want to improve their data analytics capabilities. Such technology can easily cost hundreds of thousands of dollars, way out of reach for the typical startup. But through the tech licensing partnership, startups can immediately use this technology to improve their data analytics capabilities and get more sales. In return, Ringup also benefited from the success of the startups through royalties. Corporates also license out their technology to startups for strategic reasons, apart from financial gain. Many years ago, I was working on a program with IBM Watson. At that time, IBM Watson was in its early days and needed more data to train its AI engine to become smarter. On the other hand, there were many new AI startups with rich data, but lacked a good AI engine because it was expensive and time-consuming to build. IBM Watson helped these AI startups by offering them usage of its AI as a service for free or at a highly subsidized rate. By doing so, IBM Watson also benefited, as the additional data from the startups helped them to train their AI engine to become smarter. Thirdly, market access partnerships. This approach is similar to the previous one, except that the medium of exchange in this case is market access. Some corporates, especially those in media and communications, have access to large networks of consumers. This is particularly attractive to consumer-facing startups who want to sell their products and services to these consumers. And by sharing some of these consumer networks with the startup, the corporate can potentially earn revenue share from the startup as well. Sometimes corporates might embark on market access partnerships for other strategic reasons. Years ago, I had the opportunity to work with Cisco on a program to attract leading startups working on smart city solutions. By working with these startups, Cisco managed to boost their smart city capabilities and bid for smart city related projects. The startups also benefited by becoming partners or subcontractors of Cisco. Fourthly, corporate investment in startups. When a corporate invests in a startup, it is a good indication that the corporate sees strategic value in the startup and wants a front row seat. Apart from a potentially huge return on investment, investing in startups help corporates to stay in touch with the latest trends, identify new tech developments, and access local markets. Meanwhile, startups also get the financial resources they need to grow and to scale. Take, for example, Yahoo's US $1 billion investment into Alibaba in 2005. Yahoo was not doing well in China at that time. So instead of fighting an uphill battle, they decided to bet on a local startup at the time called Alibaba. We all know what happened after that. Alibaba has grown into one of the biggest tech companies in the world, and Yahoo reaped a return of 40 to 50 times. Finally, startup acquisitions. According to data from Crunchbase, around 88% of successful startups exit through an acquisition. This is the ultimate form of partnership, as the entire startup is absorbed into the corporate. Corporates acquire startups for many reasons. It could be to gain control of the startup's proprietary technology. For example, Apple's recent acquisition of AI Music, a startup whose artificial intelligence technology can generate tailor-made music. Such an acquisition will help to improve Apple's various audio offerings, driving demand and eventually leading to higher profits. Corporates could also acquire startups for their user base or to penetrate new markets. Take, for example, Google's acquisition of YouTube for US $1.65 billion nearly 15 years ago. It has been a tremendous success for Google and parent company Alphabet, now contributing nearly 11% to the group's overall revenue. Now that you know how corporates and startups can increase profits by innovating and partnering together, how do you get started? For startups, you can start by searching online for relevant corporate innovation programs and apply for them. If you have a particular corporate that you want to work with in mind, you can also try reaching out directly to their head of innovation or VP of partnerships via LinkedIn, for example. For corporates, you can consider setting up an open innovation team or an innovation team within your company. This team should comprise of staff from both the strategy department as well as the operations department. By doing so, you will ensure that your innovation activities are both aligned to your corporate strategy and at the same time also practical from an operational viewpoint. Alternatively, for a corporate, if you are not ready to invest in a full innovation team, you can also consider outsourcing the work to a trusted innovation consultant who has worked with corporates before. A good innovation consultant should be able to help you to create a detailed innovation roadmap based on your corporate objectives and execute it. An even better innovation consultant will be able to help you to see how your innovation activities can eventually lead to profits. Now that you know the 5 ways where corporates and startups can increase profits by innovating and partnering together, it's time for you to take action. Thank you.